So we have Stephanie Barnes here now. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Hi. But this is great because we're talking about, okay, first of all, I got to show you her hockey card. This is...
Oh, a hockey card.
Now, you shoot left.
Yes, I am left-handed, actually, yes.
Okay, beautiful. See, okay. It's not really a hockey card. It's a knowledge management card because that's what you
Exactly.
do with your company.
It is. It is. And people don't like knowledge management. I usually get people glazed looks when I say knowledge management. I'm a knowledge management consultant.
Yeah.
So after 5 years, I've started calling myself just a management consultant, and I do business IT alignment consulting.
Which
So-
sounds fascinating. For me, knowledge management is, I've always found that fascinating.
Well, and I've focused on enterprise content management systems, so the knowledge management certainly still fits, because those are typically the knowledge management platforms.
Right.
So-
Okay. So just a quick, no, we had a little bit of a talk beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
but wouldn't enterprise content management, wouldn't that include customer relationship management?
It does, but those are separate technology solutions. The CRM systems,
Wouldn't the perfect solution be a completely integrated one?
it would, and there are one or two vendors that have integrated solutions.
Okay.
So
All right. Beautiful. Daniel, you enjoying this talk so
No,
far?
no. I'm just trying to absorb it because this is
Okay.
normally I'm intimidated by that whole business world, and here you're right in the center of it, and you seem
Yes.
quite friendly and willing to talk. So I'm taking a step back with my face, but I'm getting into it.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, great.
So-
So let's start by defining knowledge management for people that don't know what the heck that is.
Well, knowledge management to me is about having the right information in the right spots at the right time for people to do their jobs effectively
company.
and efficiently in a company or in an organization.
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes there's a technology component to it, but it's not just technology. I think the technology vendors have done a great disservice to knowledge management, which is why I don't like to call it knowledge management anymore. With these point solutions, with the technology, people fall in love with the technology. To IT, people fall in love with the technology, and there's nothing wrong with the technology. But the hard part of implementing it is people in process. The people will screw you up every time because it's change, and it's something different than they've done before. And
We don't
you
like
know,
change.
No, people don't like change. So, as you know, you hear regularly. So,
But on the other side of that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're implementing a good system, at the end of the day, the processes are going to be better, the work is going to be more productive, more fun, more meaningful for everybody involved.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But to do that implementation successfully, you have to engage the business. IT just can't go, oh, look at this cool technology I found,
Right.
and put it on a server and throw it out to the business and say, here you go, this is going to solve all your problems.
Plus, often, I think what happens, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but the wrong technology gets implemented.
Because they don't talk to the business. You got to talk to the
Right.
business, find out what the business thinks is their problem or is their problem.
Yeah.
Is it CRM? Is it that the salespeople don't have a good database of their customer information?
Yeah.
Is it that they have all these project documents that they can't find, that they're recreating the wheel every time?
Mm-hmm.
What's the business problem that you're trying to solve?
Is it I guess example transferring products from point A to B, the logistics of that sort of thing, or just dealing with the I guess the infrastructure itself of the company? It could be a number of different things.
Absolutely.
And my guess is whether it's Siemens or one of these other big companies, or an individual small group company, they may have a template prepared, like a general system's already done, and then they go and interview the people that are involved, the business people, or just the people that work in the nuts and bolts in lower management, and find out what they need, and then cater to that need and mold what they've sort of started into something that fits with them.
Yeah. There's a translation process that needs to happen.
Yeah.
In as much as business speaks English, or in Canada speaks English, or French maybe, and IT speaks English, they're different English. It doesn't...
Right.
It
And what's
doesn't-
cool to the IT guys, often doesn't help the business.
Well, or they don't know how it's going to help the business. The business doesn't understand how social networking, for instance, is going to help them. But if you sit down and say to them, well, this is going to be another marketing channel for you, this is going to help you find experts in your area much easier,
It's going to help you address some of your business objectives.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and tie it back.
Okay. So, and so that's really, is that what you mean by business IT alignment?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So how did you get into this, Stephanie? Like, what's your story? How did you...
Well,
when you were a kid, did you go, I want to be a knowledge management guru when I grow up? Did the
No.
guidance counselor say this is what you should be doing?
No, never. I started out, I wanted to be an accountant, actually.
Okay.
And that was not the right field for me, as it turns out, and went back and did an MBA in IT. And liked IT, but I'm not a computer science person. I don't have the programming background, and so, but the process and things was strong. And I got into working for a company, a fairly large international organization, and in their consulting organization, and said, well, what do you mean you're not reusing your information the next time you go out and do your consulting engagement? You have to know, it was about knowing who had done a similar engagement in the past, and going to them rather than going to a central repository and saying, oh, here's a similar engagement that was done a year and a half ago. I can take that and reuse 80% of it or 50% of it or whatever on this engagement that I'm on now.
Right.
So that's how I kind of got into knowledge management.
Okay.
Was because I couldn't believe this large company wasn't doing anything.
They were spinning their wheels.
They were.
Yeah.
So
So what's the process look like when you go into a company? Can you just describe what kind of steps you take the company through, or?
Sure. Oftentimes the business will bring me in, occasionally IT, but usually the business. I come in and I sit down and do a visioning or roadmap session with them over a few days, and collect sort of the requirements and where they want to go. What are their business problems? What are their processes? What are their information flows? Where do they want to go with it? 3 years out. Well, a year out, 3 years out, 5 years out, so we can get a sense of where they're going.
Is this a few days of discussions? Or?
Yeah, workshops.
Oh, workshops.
Sometimes
okay.
we have trouble scheduling the workshops, so I do interviews,
okay.
which of course takes longer, but come in and do that visioning and roadmap, and then the requirements analysis, and then go out and look and see what technology would suit their purposes. In some cases, they have something in-house already, and we just take it and tweak it and make it more user-friendly, do some education and communication around the platform. Worked with a company a few years ago that had spent millions of dollars on a platform, and no one was using it, but they hadn't talked to the business first about what they needed, what would solve their problems, what would help them be more efficient and effective. So we came in and I tweaked it a little bit, helped them with their service IT, so that they are providing a service that the business actually wants, and for a fraction of $1 million,
Wow.
they increased their usage by 40 or 50% in 6 months.
So they should really call you first. I can't believe companies are still making the decisions like this without really looking at it the way that you are taking them through.
I know, I can't believe it either.
Let me pose a question to you. Are you talking about the company that she used to work for and she couldn't believe what was happening, or are you talking about the company that would be the client? Or
Yeah, the client company that that spent over $1 million on a platform that nobody was using and didn't address their business objectives.
I want to get back to... Thanks, you. I want to get back to that company that you were working for a little while, maybe 2 days, and you thought, "Oh God, they don't do
7
this."
years.
What was the reason? What was their so-called reason? Is what I'm saying. Is it just because they're trying to be like Holiday Inn? Could be a very boring hotel, the food very bland, but everyone's got to follow the thing, or else they'll be shot. The staff, because they want to keep it like every other hotel. Is it along that thinking, or what? You can't tell.
I don't know. It was reusing information is a new idea. I can't talk. New idea to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I had come from an accounting background where we went out and did the audits and did tax returns and did financial statements, and we were expected to use the previous year's file in doing this year's audit or this year's accounting returns and things. And if it was the first year for an audit, it took, say, 3 months, But the second year we came to do it, we were expected to shave like 30% off it because we were reusing last year's files. So when I came to do it, and there's all kinds of checklists and templates and things in accounting.
Yeah.
So it became the way certainly I worked and was used to working. When I went to this larger company, certainly different, not in accounting field, in a technology field, but there it was different than what they had been used to doing. The reusing was if I reused information, it was to save me time and would give me credibility, but there was people had a vested interest in keeping the knowledge to themselves and not sharing it because it ensured their job, right? So it wasn't part of the culture the same way as it was in accounting. So
Okay. So what are there's a lot of tools out there that have been developed, and as you say, you don't necessarily develop the tools, but you based on the company's needs after your interview process, you go out there and find the tools, the systems, and so forth that are going to be a good match for helping the company achieve their objectives.
Right.
And there's been a lot of development in this area in the last few years. Are there some really good things out there that like, are there certain things that almost always you're going to go and think that's a good possibility for certain companies?
Well, one of the technologies that comes up a lot, I won't say whether it's good or bad, it depends what the situation is, but one that's very popular right now is SharePoint from Microsoft. And there's a lot of companies that have implemented it. It's good. It takes on this real groundswell at the grassroots level because it's in interfaces with the Microsoft Office platform, so Word and Excel and PowerPoint, the programs that people are using all the time. And so a lot of organizations have found they've got this whole SharePoint infrastructure that they didn't ever plan or count on.
It just grows.
It just grows.
It's a big intranet, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Collaboration, sharing, document repository.
All right. So companies might find that that's sort of gotten out of hand, and people are using it for non-productive
Well,
purposes,
not
or-
even not non-productive, just things that people didn't ever envision they were going
Right.
to use it for. So
Well, that could be a good thing, maybe.
it is a
in
good
some-
thing, except that it's grown uncontrollably, and NIT, needs to put some boundaries around, standardization and cost control and things, and knowing what's out there, so that things are being properly backed up and taken care of too. So.
Now, what about these things like you hear about things like enterprise resource planning? Is that something that is that a brand name or is that a concept?
No, it's a concept.
Okay,
Yeah.
but there are some major providers out there, like a small number of major
Yeah.
providers of that kind of
Yeah.
service.
Yeah.
Is that something you look at when you're helping a company?
I will. That's not where I've spent a lot of my time because those are typically the accounting systems and purchasing systems, and those are systems that are more what's a good word? Just more stable or more known within the organization. The enterprise content management, the intranet stuff, is more. It's new technology, It's purchasing processes accounts payable processes have been around forever, and people know how that works, and people have to use those systems as the other piece of it. If I go and put in a new ERP system, and I'm in purchasing, I have to use that system to get my job done. Whereas enterprise content management systems that are helping collaboration and document reuse and sharing information is a new way of thinking about doing my job. I can probably get around using that technology. My IT department may have chosen a platform and put something in for the intranet and help me collaborate, but if they've not trained and communicated with me about how to use it, I can find a way around using it. Send it to email, put it on a share drive, walk it across the room on a memory stick, all kinds of ways to get around using it. So that's why I've focused on enterprise content management systems, is they've typically sort of been ignored because they do take a lot more effort on the people and process side.
So you'll have, maybe I'm coming from a different direction here. You could come in to see a company that may have some tools right there.
Yep.
And you can say, look, you got this, that, let's just try to coordinate this. And it may, and you might say, look, you know, you just need me for a couple of days. You've got all these things right here.
Yeah.
Or you almost have it, but you just missed the point.
Mm-hmm.
And may I help you with this? But saying that, it is we're run by people,
Yep.
which is a good thing, really.
It is.
It's even though we may like the film, and I did like the film Wall-E. There is, in any industry, difficulty with people sometimes. I used to be in advertising where someone says, we want this that's got this, and it's the world thing, and they keep saying the world. They're asking for your advice, but they really are telling you what you're to do, like you're the butler. How do you work around that? I mean, that's dealing with difficult personalities sometimes.
Absolutely. And it's sitting down and being open to and asking questions about why they think it's got to be a particular way or not some other way.
Yeah.
And not getting entrenched in it has to be this way. We have to use this platform this way, and this is the only way to use it. So opening the door to the dialogue and creating that open communication. Sometimes it's tough, and sometimes...
And that's reminding them that, you know, you did want me here.
Yes.
That's what I'm here for.
Absolutely.
But if you already know what you want, then I don't need to be here.
Exactly.
I mean, you can say it a nicer way than that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
But I get fed up with that from my advertising days, so I'm just saying that. So, yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, if they don't want to listen to my advice,
Yeah.
that's their thing.
Yeah.
So,
And you win. I would think that you'll win. Most cases, you win people over with. You know, that's why they had you there in the first place to advise on whatever the situation is.
yeah. Someone internally has said we've got to do this better. you
Yeah.
know, and so has brought me in to help them do it better. So, yeah. But it's interesting. What sometimes happens is we'll get partway through a project, and that person who's brought me in leaves the organization. It happens, and someone who comes in to fill their role afterwards doesn't get it, and the project just withers and dies. And it's so disappointing when that happens, to see all this hard work and effort that certainly I have done and the client staff have done, and see that leadership isn't there, has gone, and the project, what was once, you know, we had great hope in, has just gone away. So
how can I got two questions I want to ask you. What are the kinds of ways that good knowledge management in a company can essentially, at the end of the day, help the bottom line of the company? How does it pay off?
Oh, it pays off just because people know where to go to get the information they need to do their jobs. If I am working on, come back to purchasing, if I'm new in the purchasing department and don't know what the policies are around purchasing in the organization, I know who to go, I know where to go to on the intranet. I know if I'm working on a project with some other people that I have a place to go to collaborate. We don't have to send emails back and forth. We know, because this happens all the time. People email documents back and forth and do their own edits, and then nobody knows what's the right version. So, and that kind of wasted time is stuff that people don't recognize and don't realize how big it is.
Yeah.
But there are studies that say people can spend upwards of 30% of their time every week searching for information to do their jobs. Well, if we can reduce that by using knowledge management practices and processes, to more like half an hour a week instead of a day and a half.
That's money in the bank.
That's
Absolutely
big.
it is.
Now, what about, is there a threshold for, does a company need to reach a certain size or a certain stage, and then knowledge management starts to make sense?
Yeah, often I've done projects work with small, 100 people in a boutique consulting firm, all the way up to, thousands of people in a financial institution. The bigger the organization, oftentimes the bigger the problem, and so the more noticeable it becomes. So there's more urgency and willingness to part with some money to solve it, just because of the magnitude of size, rather than 25 people or 100 people. The problems are the same. It's just an order of magnitude.
Okay.
So.
And I'm just curious about, and this might sound like a strange question, but there's been talk in recent years where the boundary between the organization and its environment is more permeable. It's less of a firewall or less of a wall than it used to be. And so the issue of knowledge management that not only serves within that wall, but also touches outside the wall, touches the other stakeholders in the company that are outside that wall, like customers and like the community.
Absolutely.
Do you have any thoughts about that, or any?
That's often one of the things that we look at in a phase 2 or phase 3 of the project, is going outside to those communities, because there's a lot of business that goes on between a company and its external community, whether it's community events that they're supporting, or whether it's just with vendors and suppliers. There's a lot of collaboration and sharing that goes on. So oftentimes the internet, we give them a DMZ, we call it demilitarized zone, but outside the firewall, but inside some security, so it's secure to share that information. So because there is a lot, and it's better than email.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that the like right on the top list of the customers that would need someone like you are people that are in a pleasant dilemma in well, there's many under different situations. What do I know? But a group of 100 people, let's use a group of 100 people, and whatever the company is, suddenly they grew up into, they got these extra clients over whatever it is, things are looking good, whether it's recession or not, and they added 50 more staff, and there's 4 more departments, and like, oh my gosh, now how do we organize this? And then they scream, hey, we got this stuff, but help us.
Yes.
Things are happening, but so we don't lose it again.
Yep.
It's so things don't topple. That's
it.
where you come in.
Yep, that's it
Yeah.
exactly. Then, and this consulting firm that I had worked with, that's exactly what had happened. They had gone from 25 people to 100 in a year and a half, and there was just documents and information floating all over the place in email and share drives, and they knew that they could be more efficient and effective with it. They'd grown so much so quickly that they just couldn't get on top of it. So I came in and helped them get it sorted out.
And believe it or not, that really helps relax the stress away,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the thing about the situation, the economic situation that we're currently in, it's a real opportunity for people to do things differently. And to, rather than sticking with the status quo and saying, I'm going to keep doing my job the same way I've been doing it, there's been layoffs and what have you. And so I'm trying to do more with less. Let's be more efficient with the technology that we've got and make sure that it's supporting our business processes so that we're getting the best value for money out of it. So, absolutely.
Don't know if this is a good question or not, but what about this whole phenomenon of social networking? You mentioned it once or twice in the interview, but do you have any thoughts on it and how businesses can use it? And, except for the old, let's open up a Facebook group and we'll try to flog our TD whatever on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I have friends that will cringe. I'm not a big social media fan. I have resisted Twitter and all of those as much as possible. That said, I have recently joined Twitter, and it's good because I can keep track of some of the other people in knowledge management that are thought leaders, and I can kind of keep track of what they're doing and what they're thinking. So,
are you following them, or are they following you?
We're both following each other, which was kind of fun, because in some cases I haven't actually met them, so it was kind of cool that they turned around and followed me. So it's good as one of my modes of surveying the landscape and keeping myself up to date on what's happening. Certainly, I follow some organizations and people that have Facebook pages and that kind of thing to know what's going on. And there's a lot of marketing being done through social media. There's also a lot of time wasted. That said, I think it has its place, like everything else. It is a valid marketing channel now that didn't exist 10 years ago. So,
companies should figure out how to
use it.
And you can help them do that?
I could.
Okay, great. Now we don't have much time left, Stephanie, but I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Oh, thank you.
Hope the listeners have. Hope you have, Daniel.
I have. I'm less intimidated.
Good.
I'm just
it's not
wondering.
intimidating.
I'm just wondering if there's anything we haven't asked you that's just you just want to say something we've missed or something that's going on in the world of knowledge management that we haven't touched on yet.
Well, I'll do a little plug for I'm working with a couple of people for a Knowledge Workers Toronto group here on Meetup. So we've just started meeting in January to do knowledge worker, knowledge management issues. We've tried, or there have been attempts previously in Toronto to try and get some kind of knowledge management community going, and it's never taken off. But so far, signs are good. We've got 138 people signed up for our group on Meetup, and
nice.
And we've had some good turnouts, and we've got some good speakers lined up for the next couple of months, and things. So that's exciting to see. We're not quite sure why, if this is just the time. Finally, it's knowledge management's time in Toronto, or what, but we're quite excited about it. So
Okay, cool. So how can people, if they want to sign up for that?
oh, it's on Meetup. It's called Knowledge Workers Toronto. Meetup is meetup.com, and it's Knowledge Workers Toronto is the Meetup group.
Okay.
So
Great.
you
And,
can find
and
it
if our
there.
next guest, and he's super talented singer-songwriter, writes, outside of writing great music, starts his own label, then maybe, and it becomes big, then maybe we'll have to come to you.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay.
Very cool.
And how about your website,
Oh.
if people want to get in touch with you directly?
It's www.missingpuzzlepiececonsulting.ca, and I know it's a long name, but you only have to type it in once, and then you bookmark it. So,
Missing puzzle
Puzzle
piece.
piece.
It's easy. And,
Yeah.
and you were wearing one.
and I'm wearing one. It's always good when you can have jewelry as a tax write-off, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, I just got to figure out what kind of jewelry I'm going to be wearing as a tax write-off, because I don't think that Bacardi thing counts.
You got your life rings, that's a start,
That's right. Boy, are they a write-off.
Oh, no,
Okay,
stop.
Stephanie, it's been great to chat with you. Stephanie Barnes from missingpuzzlepiececonsulting.com.
.ca.
Even better.
Excellent.
So thanks for coming in. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed it, and
I did too.
maybe I'm going to give you a call and see what. Anyways, I like your hockey card.
Thank
I'll
you.
give you a call.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks everybody. Not everybody. We're not over yet, Daniel. The show's not over. Jeff Straker's here, and we're gonna come back and chat with him in a minute. But I think we got some of his music ready to go right now first, and then we'll come back and chat with Jeff here on Liquid Lunch, thatchannel.com.